And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service Meteorologist Peter Chan with your Alaska aviation weather outlook on this Thursday, April 17th, 2025. And this outlook is for Friday into Saturday. Before then, though, we have an area of low pressure that came up across the lower Alaska Peninsula, and then energy is kind of splitting in two. One piece is going to ride northward along the west coast. The other heading eastward into the Gulf as we get into Friday and Saturday. Both pieces will be in the process of weakening. Certainly this has been a windy system. It has had areas of heavy rain, heavy snow. Conditions have improved across the eastern Aleutians. They got plastered with some heavy wet snow. Also areas of the YK deltas. Even heavy rainfall around Portage. Over 6 inches of rain measured with that atmospheric river. That atmospheric river feature is shifting to the east and weakening, but nevertheless, it's going to spread a steadier rain to coastal areas and in through sea level there across the Panhandle. Still getting some wet snow in the mid and upper levels of the coastal mountains. And we're also finding some of the wind shear beginning to wind down over areas, especially south central and across the Alaska Range. That'll definitely be the case by Friday morning. So we find widespread IFR conditions still along the Arctic coast. We still have strong polar easterlies causing blowing, drifting snow. We've had that moisture lift north. So through this day, Thursday night into Friday, there will be areas of blizzard or near blizzard conditions along the Arctic coast. We find lingering areas of precipitation west central mainland Friday morning along areas of the Seward Peninsula. We find IFR conditions across the northwestern Gulf and around Prince William Sound. We also have areas of IFR along the Alaska Range, Yukon Flats, and then back out toward eastern Aleutians and western Aleutians, though this system out through here is nothing nearly as strong in terms of wind or precipitation. Now, by Friday afternoon, we still have IFR conditions across areas of the upper Mat-Su Valley and then coming down here across the northern Gulf Coast, MVFR through the Panhandle. But again, for Friday, you're going to have periods of rain in the low elevations and at sea level, along with snow in the mountains. Just lingering lower cloud cover and a few lingering areas of light rain showers, snow showers along areas of the Gulf Coast back toward the Alaska Range. And then up here in the north, we have some IFR conditions, eastern Brooks Range, upper Yukon Flats, Utqiagvik down toward Point Lay, and then areas of the west central interior back out through the Seward Peninsula. IFR conditions expected Friday afternoon, and then a broad area of the western half of the Aleutians. Saturday morning, we still find areas of IFR along the northern Gulf Coast, along the slopes here of the Alaska Range, Talkeetna Mountains, then also up here, parts of the Yukon Flats, Brooks Range, western interior. And as we get into Saturday afternoon, conditions should start to improve a bit, lifting to more MVFR conditions across much of the mainland. Still maybe some pockets of IFR around Adigan and Anaktuvik passes. Generally MVFR conditions prevailing across the Panhandle, with still some showery weather because that weakening low will continue eastward. Meanwhile, we have another system that's going to be coming up out of the North Pacific across the Aleutians, not as strong as the last couple of them, but it's going to spread some more lower cloud cover and rain, or a mix of rain and snow along the southwest coast Saturday night and into the day Sunday. And this next system will gradually work its way off to the east, northeast later this weekend and early next week. So past conditions in the far north there, the east central Brooks Range, Anaktuvik and Adigan passes, IFR becoming MVFR on Friday. The west arm of the Alaska Range largely going through any of those passes, Lake Clark, Merrill, westward will be IFR. Rainy Pass, IFR through the pass and westward. Windy Pass, some IFR conditions there during the day Friday. Isabel Pass will try to become VFR as we go through Friday afternoon and early evening. And Tasta Pass should generally see VFR conditions hold, but as you fly further south down into the Copper River, you'll quickly run into some areas of IFR. Tanita Pass may see a brief period of VFR becoming IFR again. Definitely south of Tanita Pass, it'll remain IFR throughout the day. Friday, Portage Pass, largely IFR conditions will hold there as well. And then in the northern panhandle at Chilkoot and White, we're looking at MVFR conditions during the day on Friday. So looking at the surface freezing line, it extends out through the central Bering, dips down toward the Alaska Peninsula and comes back up into the Matsu Valley, up Cook Inlet, and then back along areas of the Gulf Coast into the northern panhandle. We've had an intrusion of milder air up over the Alaska Range, so places the lower Tanana Valley, lower Yukon Flats could see readings near or just above freezing Friday morning. But of note, because we've had this system push inland with the fronts, the warmest air now has been forced eastward into northern central Canada. We do have freezing levels above 8,000 and 10,000 feet. Once you get there towards central Canada, it's cooled back down across the mainland, and we don't really have any big surges of warmer air aloft coming in, though we do find a bump here south of the Aleutians where freezing levels rise above 6,000 feet. So areas of any lingering thicker cloud cover or precipitation inducing clouds, that because we still have enough instability for some scattered showers. There could be snow or rain and snow mixed popping up. Above 3,000 feet, there could be some icing along areas of the North Slope, Arctic coast, eastern, I should say just call it the Yukon Flats. And then as we come on down southwest interior, could see a few rain, snow shower mix popping up, and then lingering areas of precipitation along the Gulf Coast. Could find moderate icing above 4,000 feet, and then the southern panhandle above 6,000 feet, because there'll be plenty of precipitation working its way across the panhandle on Friday, mainly in the form of rain, except for up in the mountains. And then back here with that next system coming in across the Aleutians, we find freezing levels and icing above 6,000 and 8,000 feet. So the upper level pattern, we had a very sharp trough, if you recall, a few days ago, set up here over the eastern Bering west side of the state. That has opened up a bit. We have a broader trough. We now have the jet core east of Alaska out here across northwestern quadrant of Canada, 115 knot southwest upper level jet, and then a broad belt of winds in the 70 to 90 knot range from across the Aleutians into just south of the Alaska Peninsula in the North Pacific. At 700 millibars, we find that still that broad belt of winds exist just along and south of the Gulf into the North Pacific. It extends back to the Aleutians, but generally the strongest core of winds at mid-levels, 700 millibars or 9,000 feet, is south of Kodiak Island there, and the order of 45 to 55 knots. And for 3,000 feet, we find some of the stronger winds, again, are down in the North Pacific, well south of the Alaska Peninsula and Kodiak Island, maxing out there around 50, 55 knots. There are still the polar easterlies, the stronger lower level winds associated with the big high up in over the Arctic Ocean, kind of a semi-permanent feature there for the cold season. And so we have still brisk easterly winds along the Arctic coast causing blowing and drifting snow, and that will persist during the day on Friday, but should begin to let up as we get into Friday night and certainly by Saturday. And you can see with the next system that's coming up across the Aleutians, nothing is nearly as organized as this most recent storm. So we still have the potential for some moderate turbulence on Friday. The greatest likelihood areas around Bristol Bay, the upper portion of the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island, southwestward down into the eastern Aleutians, and there could be some moderate turbulence, surface to 4,000 feet. There also could be a little bit of turbulence, isolated moderate turbulence up around and east of Utqiagvik because of those brisk polar easterlies during the day Friday, surface to 3,000 feet.